I always like to start in here and then go to the kitchen. Let's go to the kitchen. People are sleeping. People are sleeping. Oh, I really want to do a video on sourdough. Check this one out. Just made it last night. So this isn't like an overnight fridge ferment. I actually just fermented it all day. But it was really good, and we actually made this amazing pasta. I should probably show you the pasta. But I'm getting ready. I have these chickpeas soaking, and I think today is going to be the day I'm going to cook these chickpeas in the pressure cooker, and then I have this culture. I'm going to actually make tempeh, which tempeh is amazing. The first time I ever had tempeh, I really hated it, and I just thought it was crap. And that was like just kind of my opinion of it, and for a long time I just wrote it off. And then I went to Bali. In Indonesia they make a lot of tempeh, and it was fresh, and it was so good. And it's actually really simple to make. You basically just take chickpeas or any kind of bean. Usually it's made with soybeans, but you take a bean, you cook it, and then you mix together with the culture, and then you put it like in the oven at like very, very, very low temperature, and it just ferments over the next few days. You put it in a bag first, whatever. So I've soaked the beans overnight. Now I'm gonna put them in my pressure cooker. I'm gonna cook the beans, and then I have to dehull them, and then we'll go from there. This is in no way an advertisement for the Instant Pot, but I do love this thing, and I was very skeptical about it. Mike and I made a video on Brothers Green a couple years ago, but there's so much you can do with it. I make yogurt on it. Beans, of course, are great. I use it as a rice cooker. So if you do not have a lot of kitchen space and you just want one tool that can do a lot of stuff, pretty good. There she blows. Oh wow, that's what the more liquid than usual. Damn, must have been overflowing. Uh-oh. Oh no. I overflowed it. Oh god. Chickpea liquid everywhere. Ah. This is maybe the best video I've ever seen.
Hey, you get down the fiddle and you get down the bow. Kick off your shoes and you throw them on the floor. Dance in the kitchen till the morning light. Louisiana Saturday night.
After what was easily the most dramatic opening of a pressure cooker I've ever experienced. Things have calmed down a little bit in this kitchen. It's good to be in the chaos, good to be in the calm. Let's drain these off. I can't even see that. Nope, definitely can't. Okay, so now I want to actually attempt to dehull these guys. See that? So I'm going to put them in water and kind of mash them around. I'm going to cool them down a bit. Wow, that is freaking hot! Huh? And then the skin should come off pretty easily. I've heard a lot of mixed things about tempeh making and whether you should take off the skins of the bean. Most people say you should. You can do some research. I mean, who knows what's what. Sometimes you got to figure it out for yourself, but I'm going to take them off anyway. It's going to be more work, but I think it maybe helps the end product or something. Truth is, I haven't made tempeh in years, but when I made it, it was freaking perfecto. Alright, if I kind of like massage through here, but they're already soft, so like see that I just kind of, as I kind of mix them, they come off. And they'll float to the top too, so you can just kind of snag them. Or at least they'll float, somewhat. You can see I just rinsed out the water. But yeah, you can see all this, the skin starts to float to the top. They're all kind of in there. It's like little jellyfish. I should just say, whenever you're doing any kind of like seemingly menial task, you can use it as a chance to actually do a kind of meditation. So like I said, a lot of people tend to think meditation is this thing where they're just like sitting in their room and the lights are off and everything's dark and peaceful and you're listening to Om. And that is one form of meditation, but if that is your only form of meditation, what tends to happen is when you go back out into the world and everything's crazy and wild and whatever, it's like you create this huge separation between what you think meditation is and what it actually is. And then when you're in the world, you struggle to actually be able to stay peaceful. So to me, I treat everything like a meditation, especially things like washing dishes and cooking and just being in these moments where I'm just present. Because being in meditation is really just being in a heightened sense of awareness and presence with what is. Really feeling the feelings, the sensations, not doing it, not getting through it because you have to, because it's some kind of chore, but just doing it and enjoying it. It will actually really calm you down. So for people that don't like cooking, when you start to realize there's other benefits to cooking than actually the eating portion and the deliciousness and even the health portion, it's quite amazing. Yeah, see how these are all floating? I'm actually not gonna, like the beans are getting a little bit mashed, which is fine, but I'm keeping them mostly somewhat whole. There's different types of tempeh that you can make, but I'm gonna keep mine mostly whole. Just creates a nice texture, I think. Therefore I don't know. Yeah. You can even sing a song while your tempeh making rolls along. You can make it up as you go, 'cause you're stuck inside the flow. When you surrender to the flow of life, everything else becomes nice, because you're not forcing what is, but you're allowing all to come through. What are we doing here, boys? Do a little more massaging. I'll see y'all in a moment. That took me a good hour. There's a few that aren't dehulled, but that's okay. Dehulled. But basically now, importantly, you must drastically dry these beans. Very, 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 very dry. Get all the water off. They should be completely dry to the touch. And then we're gonna mix in some vinegar and our starter, and then we'll be chilling. All right, chickpeas completely dried. Now, in there, let's see if I can hold this up weirdly. 2 tablespoons of vinegar, distilled white or rice. Uno, dos. Mix that around. Then we add our starter culture. And we're rocking and rolling, folks. Okay. Sprinkle. Mix well. And at this point, we basically just take Ziploc bags with a bunch of holes poked into it and put that in there, and then we're gonna ferment this, and then in anywhere from like 3 days to a week, depending on heat and temperature, of course that affects fermented stuff, we'll have delicious tempeh ready to be cooked up. Okay, so this little guy to just poke some holes in here. Zing. Spacing them about 1.5 inches apart, but this does not have to be exact. Just poke through both sides. So what I can do, because this is a bit of a bigger bag, you want it to be about 1.5 inches thick. So what I can do is I can just press out the excess air and kind of set where I want it. You know, kind of just fold that over, so maybe something like that. And then what's going to happen is the first 12 hours are pretty critical. Oftentimes I'll actually do this in the oven. I'll turn the oven on and then I'll turn it off and just kind of get it to a nice good temperature. The first 12 hours it really needs the help and the heat, but once it's starting to ferment, it actually will develop its own heat. You'll start to feel its own heat and you won't have to worry about heat quite as much. Alright, but again, don't listen to me. Experiment, have some fun. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my oven on. Placed it in here. The oven's just like at 90 degrees or so. Basically, I put it to the lowest setting and then turned it off. Don't turn on. That roommates and that could get very bad. If you remember, these are the lactose fermentation. Oh, wow. That's so sour. I almost didn't expect it. You see the bubbles though? It's a good sign. So now I can put the lid on and actually put that in the fridge. I also have this guy, which, oh wow, you can really see that bubble and this thing is alive. This is a bit of an experiment. I had this broccoli that was vacuum sealed, and I realized broccoli isn't the best to vacuum seal for too long. It started to ferment in there and it had kind of a funky flavor. So I added everything bagel spice. And then I did the salt and water solution. And let me try that. Get another spoon. Morning. for you. Let's see here. Oh wow, that's funky. It's good though. Hot dang. What else we got here? Oh yeah, my kombucha. We had some yesterday. It was amazing. All right, truth alert. I may have screwed up the tempeh. Hopefully you don't. The biggest thing is, so when I put it in the oven, I ended up not fermenting it properly in the oven. I've done it before in the oven, it worked totally fine. But I think what I did, I got a little bit nervous, and then I put it on this heating pad here. Now I think the heating pad would have worked, but I put it directly on the heating pad and it developed a lot of moisture in there. So right now, it's actually looking pretty good. It looks, but it has moisture in it. So if you know out there, tell me, but I think it might screw it up. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to send it some love. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna do great. But this is a good sign over here. It smells really good. It smells like nutty and fermented. It doesn't smell bad or rotten or anything. But it's been about 3 days now, so we'll see how it goes. I hope that it's just okay. But I could have screwed it up because, like I said, because it was directly in the heating pad, it started to develop too much moisture. So what I did now was I put it on this, and I have to have the heating pad going, which hopefully the heat is rising as heat does, and just giving it just enough heat. I could also maybe try to do some sort of covering, but again, I don't want to develop condensation in there necessarily. Although again, cooking is a bit of an experiment, so if it works, great. If not, I'll have to try again and just make sure I don't screw it up next time. That being said, learning from your mistakes can be the best way to learn. So, made a mistake, it's been a couple years. I don't see this as a failure. Yes, it's important to preserve food and to not waste food, but if something does go wrong in the kitchen, typically you can always find a way to make it work. But if something spoils, and fermentation is a little more finicky, but you learn. So don't beat yourself up too bad. Know that actually the failure is actually the learning. We see it as failing, but it's actually learning. So when you realize you're learning and growing, you're not failing, and you don't have to make a story about how, oh, I failed, I'm bad, I'm stupid, or whatever the thing is. You're like, no, I actually did this thing, I made an attempt. The people that don't fail are the ones that don't try. So just pat yourself on the back, you're doing good. Talk about turning a failure into something freaking epic. So I just went online to look up some information about tempeh and moisture. And of course, moisture is not good in this case. However, I just found there was a tempeh recipe in the Instant Pot, and I realized the Instant Pot can go down to like 90 degrees. It can hold kind of whatever temperature. So I set the Instant Pot for 91, set it on low. I basically took out the tempeh that was already in there. Some of it was already starting to do really well. It smells great. I patted it dry. I put it in 2 smaller bags. Check this out. 2 smaller bags, steamer rack on there with a tiny bit of water. Right, 2 smaller bags, holes poked, and then what it said was to actually, if you don't have a lid, if you have a lid, you can use the lid if you need to, but this is better because I can see it in here. Put this lid, which fits over perfectly, and then just let that sit for the next couple days and check on it. And I can always wipe off any moisture in here, and pretty epic. We'll see how it goes. I'll report back in the next video.